What's up, guys? The Bears are 2-2, heading into the bye week with some momentum, and I'm joined by my guy, Gabriel. How's it going here, man?
I'm doing good. I had a feeling that's what they were going to be going into the bye was 2-2, and so to me they're right on schedule. Well, hoping for 3-1. I thought they should have won the Minnesota game, but didn't work out that way. But they're going in the right direction, and I think that you're getting some players back this week, or really next week after the bye, and that's going to be helpful too. Going to have to watch Washington play this week because I haven't watched them at all this year.
They've been a little up and down, man. Washington's a team now. Jaden Daniels supposed to be back,
Right?
But they're a team that hasn't stopped the run very well, and
but they kicked the Raiders' ass.
They did.
2 weeks ago.
They beat
that
the
game
Raiders
was in Washington, and then
yeah. With Carson Wentz, or with I keep saying Carson Wentz, with Marcus Mariota at quarterback.
Yeah.
And then you also got coming up after that, we have the Saints. That's something we'll get into because I was just talking about that in the video yesterday. I believe the schedule going forward, at least for the next 5 games, the Bears have a chance to continue building momentum here and build on this win streak. We have this huge game coming up with the Commanders. Then you have the New Orleans Saints. Then you have the Baltimore Ravens, which they're tough. The Ravens are tough no matter what, especially on the road. But even after that game, you got the Bengals and the Giants, 2 other games that are winnable as long as you don't overlook your opponents. And
I don't think they're in a position to overlook anybody.
Exactly. Can't even overlook the Saints. And I was talking about that as well.
Saints played good against my hometown team, the Bills, last week in Buffalo. And that might have been a game that the Bills were overlooking a little bit because they have a division game this week, Sunday night against New England. So I guess, Josh Allen probably played. He had a turnover. They had a lot of missed tackles, just played a sloppy game as compared to the other games. Yet they still won it by, 10, 12 points or something.
Yeah, they're still the Bills are a great team, but that's one thing. Some people are overlooking the Ravens a little bit now, setting at 1-3, but they've lost to 3 teams that are all Super Bowl contending teams. I mean, they lost to the Lions, they lost to the Bills, and they lost to the Chiefs. So the Ravens are a good team, especially if Lamar is healthy.
Yeah, and Lamar hasn't been healthy, but he'll be healthy by the time they play the Bears.
Yeah,
and that game's in Baltimore, and they're real tough there.
Yeah, tough to play. Roquan's he's gonna be hyped up to play against us, and that should be a fun game. But the Bears, right now, this is my biggest takeaway after last week's game. That's a game that the Bears don't normally win, and that's a game.
I tweeted that out the day after, and I said in the previous few years, this was a game that they'd lose, and the reason they won, I put it all on coaching. But the coaching has made the difference in the feeling with the players. And you see it, when they videotape the locker room celebrations after the game, or, portion of it. And you can see their attitude. And when Johnson's talking, how they relate to him, how they listen to him, you see it in their faces.
Oh, yeah.
And as compared to the one guy, I think his name is Segru, he was doing a back-to-back. Flus's the locker room talks with Flus versus the locker room talks with Johnson, and it's like not even close. It's like they're just sitting there with Flus going, yeah.
I think someone was on their phone even. It was bad. Flus is a guy, even to fans, when he talked to the media, he came off as corny. A lot of his like the hits principle and all these things. Flus was a guy who never controlled the room like Ben Johnson does. And there's some pictures even going around of Ben Johnson on the sideline this week when the Bears are winning, and his eyes, he's going crazy over there. He's looking like a wild man, and he's intense. And I got to say, man, these guys believe in him. And I think, especially after getting a win like this, it's hard not to.
The guy he reminds me of that I worked for, and they're different types of personalities, but just the intensity is Parcells.
Bill Parcells. Ooh, okay.
with Bill for 7 years in New York, his final 7. And, we went to 2 Super Bowl, but Bill had a little bit more sarcasm to him, during the course of practice. But I mean, he could rip you a new one when he had to. But he knew the one thing I learned from Parcells, and because there was this old saying, you got to treat every player alike. And Bill's like, no, you treat every player differently. And he found what the hot spot was.
Yeah.
And how to push the button with a particular player. And that's what he did. So, and you learn from that. And it's like when we drafted Devin, we knew Devin did not respond well to hard coaching.
Mm.
You had to love Devin. But there's other guys you got to get after them. And that's the way they respond. And that's how, I think Johnson is similar. He knows how to treat it. It's a matter of it, and it's going to take him more than one season. Matter of really knowing your players and the personality of your players, and then what really gets them to tick, and then how he can get the best out of them.
100%. And a lot of guys, it's like that. Some players need the hard coaching. Some players need coddling. And that's something that coaches have to figure out on their own. And in the NFL, you'd like to think that all of these guys can handle coaching, but everyone's different, man. Everyone's a little bit different. So that's something that Ben Johnson definitely is going to be better at than Flus. Even things like that with Flus, you watched him. He was going around giving guys weird nicknames all the time. And you could tell some of the guys, I mean, some of them liked it. I think when he called Brisker like Mako, I think Brisker liked it. He looked like he liked it a little bit. But some of the other guys were like, they'd be looking at him like, what? What are you calling me?
No, I hear you.
Nicknames over here. So it was tough. But getting that win against the Raiders was huge. One of the biggest takeaways is Braxton Jones was benched. Theo Benedict came in at left tackle. I thought Theo, he got off to a slow start at right tackle. He got beat. He got welcomed to the NFL a little bit by Max Crosby, but he settled in.
That's not hard to do.
Yeah, he settled in as that game went on, and once he even moved over to left tackle, he really looked a lot better than Braxton did. Have you got a chance to look at any of that, or what were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a dramatic improvement, and Braxton just wasn't playing good. He's been up and down all year, but that was by far, the first half was by far the worst game he had played to date. And he had been, most of the games he had started off pretty good, and then he seemed to wear down. But he didn't even start off good. But when they made the switch, Benedict was an upgrade at that position. And then Ozzie goes in on the right side. And Ozzie, for having played no regular season snaps, he played 5 special team snaps in the opening game, but no offensive snaps. I thought Ozzie really did a pretty good job. He got beat once, and he's going against Crosby, and Crosby's going to do that to the best in the league, not only a rookie in his first game.
Yeah, and he made Theo and Ozzie both had some a couple of reps where they looked a little bit lost. I mean, one thing is Caleb Williams, he helped Ozzie Trapillo out. The couple of times that Max beat him, Caleb was able to avoid the rush pretty well, either by stepping up or either sidestepping and avoiding it, but getting away from Max Crosby. He was aware that, and one thing that I noticed is he was more comfortable with Theo on the left side than Ozzie on the right side. When Ozzie got beat, I felt like he was prepared for it, and he would step up and get out of the way. Theo didn't get beat many times at left tackle. I thought Theo over there at left tackle, they also would leave Theo on an island while Ozzie was getting the chips over here. Now, that's a natural thing when Max Crosby's there.
Right.
But yeah.
Now, Max did play a couple times over Theo when Theo was on the left, but
Yep.
it was
he
only
moved around a little bit.
It wasn't even a handful of snaps.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, Theo went against Max Crosby, Tyree Wilson, and Malcolm Kuntz, all very good pass rushers. And I thought Theo Benedict held his own. I think he's a guy who he really looked the part in that game. He looked like a guy who can rise to the occasion and actually play in the NFL. I think it's a positive development. One of the things I do think we missed Darnell Wright, though, is as good as Ozzie Trapillo played and as good as Theo was during his time in there, we need Darnell Wright. He's our best run blocker. And if he can figure out these penalty issues, he's probably going to be our best pass blocker as well.
Yeah, he got picked, what, the 10th pick in the draft for a reason. He's a pretty damn good player.
He is, man.
You know, he's athletic, he's big, he's strong. Yeah, he has some mental mistakes, and he's got to clean those up. But I think the game before, he had one false start, and the game against Dallas, one false start, one other penalty, I think, and that was so he's been cutting back on those.
Yeah, getting a little bit better.
But and then the fact that he got hurt, I thought it was his hand, but it was his elbow. The fact that he got hurt and like missed a few snaps at the end of the half and then came back in the second half, that tells you a little bit about him too. He's got some good toughness to him.
Oh yeah, for real. I mean, and you could see it, his arm kind of got like caught up in between a couple guys. It was kind of a freak thing. Luckily nothing's broken. I'm hoping he can be back after the bye week as well. But I do think that Ozzie Trapillo came out and showcased that he can play in the NFL.
Oh, at least there's no question. And I think I've said this before, on most teams, Ozzie Trapillo would be starting. Part of it because of where he got drafted. This coach isn't playing anybody until he feels they're ready to play.
Yeah, especially if you have guys that can do the job better right now. You got to play them.
Yeah. There's no, like, he was having some problems. And to me, the problems at left tackle in game one were not noticeable to me. Say, okay, he's going through the learning progression. He's going to get better week after week after week.
Yep.
But they see him every day in practice, and they're going, well, he does things more quickly on the right side than he does on the left side. We don't want to get our quarterback killed. We're putting him back where he's comfortable for this year, but he's still getting reps on the left side. I think the master plan is to eventually get him on the left side. It's just not going to happen yet.
Yeah, and I think that's something that they could even start with during the bye week. If Darnell Wright's back to full health, and if Darnell Wright's back to practicing, and Theo Benedict's getting the first team reps on the left side, you might want to let Ozzie get some reps now at left tackle because.
Well, here's the only thing though, Swifty. They only had one practice this week. They were going to have two, and he gave the other day off. Just had a lift, which I thought was wise. And now they're off till Monday, so they might be off. They're going to have an extra day off next week anyway because it's a Monday night game. Yep. So you don't really have that extra practice time. You would have needed the two practices this week to have him specifically play on the left side, and they didn't do that. They had one practice.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think right practice. So Ozzie is probably working at right tackle anyway.
Probably getting some starting reps at right tackle, but it is a time. I know a lot of people have talked about how he's more comfortable at right tackle than left tackle, but another thing they're not realizing, so is Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright's played there now for 5 or 6 years in a row.
2021 is the last time he's played on the left side.
It's been 5 seasons, whereas Ozzie's only played over there for 3 seasons, and he's a rookie. So Ozzie's developing more anyway. So I think it's going to be easier for Ozzie to learn left tackle than it would be to move Darnell Wright over there, which is what a lot of people are suggesting. I don't like that, especially since Theo looks like he can hold down the job pretty well right now. I think you let Ozzie develop over there, and you don't move Darnell.
No, I agree. The only thing with Theo that is the biggest negative, he's strong, he plays hard, he's athletic. I got his testing numbers from the pro day, but they're buried in my computer somewhere with all the APT from 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, his numbers were off the charts. But one thing, he's got 32-inch arms, which is real short.
It's short for tackle, yeah. It'd definitely be better at guard, but that's the thing. If Ozzie can end up taking that job over at some point, Theo just gives us another valuable member of the offensive line. But it comes down to what Ozzie can do. But we have other players as well coming back here. I think Kyler Gordon is going to be a huge key to this defense, not only his ability to cover guys in the slot, but how he plays the run, how he can blitz quarterbacks. I think Kyler's return will be huge. And then a guy that not a lot of people have talked about is Austin Booker.
Oh, God, yeah.
If he can come back and make the kind of impact he was in preseason and in camp, even as just a situational pass rusher, that's really going to help this defense out a lot.
He had 4 sacks in 3 quarters.
We don't
When you
have
look
a
at
guy with 4 sacks after 4 games, so
yeah, 4 sacks in 3/4 of play.
and that could help if he can come in and even get a couple of sacks early on, just get after quarterbacks and get some pressures. That can really help our defense out because that's been the biggest component that we're missing right now is being able to get after quarterbacks.
Now, let me ask you a question because this is in the back of my mind. This could happen. My gut feeling is Kyler could be put outside.
Yeah, I think
to have your two best corners playing outside during the game. And now you could have now Washington's going to play. You're going to be playing nickel the whole game against Washington for a good part of the game.
I think if that's the case, you kind of. I don't think Nashawn Wright or Tyreek Stevenson can really play in the slot.
No,
so
but the
Kyler.
thing is, McLeod has kind of held the fort. And you're improving your outside game if you put Kyler out there.
But he's one of the best in the slot. I think you got to.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. So, but I mean, it's obviously
especially if they have Debo in the slot. They could have Debo Samuel in the slot. Yeah, I would rather have Nashawn Wright on the outside and Kyler and nickel, and then have McLeod. I don't think I'm not as high on what McLeod's done. I think he's shown a couple flashes, but I don't think he's been very good, and I don't want to see him out there anymore. I'd rather continue to see Nashawn Wright.
I'd rather, if you're going to play a guy there, I'd rather have Blackwell there. But for some reason,
exactly, maybe even Jalen Jones.
Yeah. Now Jalen was dinged up a little bit, but he was able to go last week. Jalen's a good player, so
I like Jalen Jones.
We'll see. Hey, their decision. Just because we're remembering what they did in the past, they see what they're doing now.
Yeah, and
let me go back to one thing before I forget because it's just interesting to me with the Raiders.
Ooh,
they're 2 edges: Malcolm Kuntz and Crosby. What other team in the league has 2 edges that are really good that came out of the MAC?
Ooh, they came out of the MAC.
They're the only ones.
Who is? Oh, yeah. I was gonna say. I was like, I don't think there's another team.
Kuntz is from University of Buffalo, and Crosby's from Eastern Michigan.
Yeah. Q asked a good question. He asked if we're gonna bench Stevenson once JJ comes back. I would say I think Stevenson actually. He's done so well over the last 2 weeks. He's probably our best corner right now.
Yeah, no,
that's healthy.
The guy who gets benched is right.
Yeah, it'd be Nashawn Wright. Yeah, I think Tyreek. He started out the year kind of slow, but he has really came on the last couple of weeks, and he's made those. Not only has he locked people down, he almost has as many turnovers as he does receptions allowed. He's allowed 3 catches for like 16 yards over the last 2 games. So Tyreek has been really good. And then a couple people have asked about Roschon Johnson. And I don't know if you heard this, but Ben Johnson did mention him in the press conference the other day. And what he basically hinted at is that Roschon has not been healthy for the first 4 weeks. He said, we're going to get Roschon back 100%. And Roschon might figure into the running game going forward as well. What do you think about Roschon Johnson? And does he have a chance to make an impact during the rest of the season after the bye?
You got to go back 2 years because he was hurt a good part of last year. He had the concussion problem. Go back 2 years ago, he's a pretty good player. And he gives you that big inside body that you don't have right now.
Yeah.
I did think Monangai ran pretty well in the limited attempts that he had the other day. But he just... he's a big body, not the fastest guy, but he's got quickness and he's got a lot of power. And I think that will help the running game.
Yeah, and I think I like Monangai. I would like to see Monangai get more of an extended look.
I agree. I just like the way he runs. I like the way he runs. In college, looking at his tape, I really liked him.
He shows flashes of a budget type of runner like Ashton Genty, those similar skills. He's twitchy, he's quick, he's elusive, he runs hard, he doesn't fumble, and he looked better as a pass protector this last week as well on the few reps he got.
Oh, he stoned a guy on the
Yeah.
one. He come over from the right side to the left, pick up the blitzing linebacker, and just stoned him right there.
He did, yeah. And I saw that live, and I was like, that's what I want to see. I want to see more of that going forward. And if he can pass block like that on a consistent basis, I think he'll get more carries. But
well, when you go back to his college tape at Rutgers, he was a pretty darn good pass blocker.
Yeah, and so was
you don't
Roschon
expect
Johnson.
that from a guy who's 5'8".
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He gives his body up, and he's tough. Now, in preseason, he did get ran over a couple of times. He got welcomed to the NFL, and he said it in his words. He said, "I got, but I'm not going to let that happen again." So he's a guy who I'd like to see him out there more. I think he's a guy we could factor in after the bye week a little bit more. Maybe Roschon Johnson as well, who might be a little bit more advanced than Monangai as far as a pass catcher out of the backfield, and that might allow him to get a little bit more reps.
Well, the pass catching part of Monangai was the one part I was worried about, and that only goes back to what was on tape from Rutgers. They didn't throw to him that much, and he did have a couple drops at Rutgers, and so I was wondering, how good are his hands in his combine workout? Mm-hmm. He had a couple drops, so then I'm thinking, well, maybe he's just got average hands, but reality is he's caught everything that's been thrown to him.
He has. His hands have looked good when he just hasn't been used efficiently or often in the passing game. So he didn't really have a chance to develop that skill set in college, and that's what you'd like to see more of. True Pilgrim says Roschon is finished in Chicago. I know I actually was kind of wondering if that was the case over the first 4 weeks, but the way Ben Johnson spoke about him in the press conference, it's because early on you thought, well, they like Kyle Monangai more than Roschon. He's getting the snaps. Roschon isn't. But it seems like that may be changing going forward. We'll see, though. That's something to keep an eye on.
Well, you know what? If he was finished, he wouldn't be on roster.
Yeah.
There's some reason
they would be bringing in someone else, yeah. And there's guys out there. I mean, Britton Brown is a guy who kind of he showed a little bit in preseason. I liked him. He's a guy who runs hard. So,
and there was guys available, at the 53 cut down. There's some guys you like. There's some guys I liked. Mm-hmm. They let them all go.
Yep.
They passed by. They didn't claim them. So, I mean, that tells me that where the fan base thinks they got to get another running back, the coaching staff saying, no, I got the guys I want.
They like Monangai and Roschon, I think. And maybe we'll see that play out on the field a little bit more because DeAndre Swift, I've been a fan of Swift over his career in the NFL. I thought he's a pretty good player, but so far this year, he has not taken advantage of his opportunities. He's ran hard at times, but he simply hasn't broken enough tackles. He's not making guys miss. If you're not making guys miss and you're not breaking tackles, I don't know how long you can be a starting running back in the NFL.
Well, he's got limitations, but he also, I think reality is he's run harder than I anticipated him.
Yeah.
Part of it is the line play is dramatically improved over a year ago, but the run blocking isn't necessarily dramatically improved.
Yeah.
And a running back is only as good as the guys blocking for him.
And I've seen a lot of missed blocks by Cole Kmet, by Braxton Jones, by Jonah Jackson, even Drew Dahlman and Joe Tooney. While they've been decent as pass protectors, I don't think they've been as good as advertised when it comes to run blocking, at least so far.
I tend to agree with that. I see some of the grades that PFF puts out, but I don't put any stock into any grade they put out.
Yeah.
As far as evaluation, they got to do a better job. Part of it is these guys are all new playing together. And you got to, it takes more than 4 or 5 weeks for an offensive line to gel as one unit.
Mm-hmm. And now we're moving guys around. You got Theo playing right, Theo playing left, Ozzie coming in at right tackle. So it might take them a little bit longer to gel, maybe getting some reps during the bye week. If we can get this Monday night game, I think this one's going to be huge. We'll talk about that for a minute, and then I'll get to a couple of the good questions I saw in chat. But this Monday night game, I think this is kind of a redemption game for these guys because what happened in Washington last year, the game where we had that team beat.
Yep.
And the Hail Mary, you know how many times these guys have heard about that and how much it's been talked, but they're all sick of it. They all want to wipe that from memory. And there's no better way to do that than to go out here on Monday Night Football in front of the whole world and kick the crap out of the Washington Commanders. And if we can do that, I think the entire narrative of how people talk about this team will begin to shift. And I already see it a little bit, but I could see that happening if we could do that.
Well, yeah, I agree with you 100%. But for me, part of the equation is I can see the players feeling that way.
Yeah.
To the coaches, I don't think they give a damn what happened last year.
Yeah.
You know, they're going in, we're going to beat Washington. We're going to set up our game plan to beat Washington. But the players themselves.
Yeah. Some of them, especially guys like Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah. You're going to have, him in particular. But they want to go in there and change the narrative.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're going to have some things too where Caleb has played pretty well of late. If he can go in and outplay Daniels on Daniels' home field.
And Caleb, that's a guy who he'll be pumped too, because he's heard a lot about how Jaden Daniels is one of the best and the Bears should have picked Jaden. And
shut that shit up right away.
Yep. And he's also Caleb's from Washington, so that's his hometown. Yep. He's Monday Night Football, 2 weeks to prepare. That's one of the biggest things about this is I haven't been this excited for a head coach in probably most of my life, but given Ben Johnson 2 weeks to prepare for a team, I feel like if he's what he's advertised to be and he's the coach that a lot of us hope he is, he's going to come out with an awesome game plan with 2 weeks to prepare for these guys.
Yeah, they're going to go. And when he said we're going to go through and throw out what's been bad and build on what's been good, he means it.
Yeah.
You know, if there's stuff that didn't work, it's like, okay, we're not going to use it.
And did you see, I mean, I got to talk about the fake flea flicker. I know there was a penalty on the play. That play was so cool to me. It's so original. You see guys, and that's what you want. It's not just that it was a fake flea flicker. It's you took something you've had success with and you ran something that made the defense think you were running it again, and you were running something completely different. And
well, I thought, you know, I agree with you, but I thought the face mask call was really kind of BS.
I did too.
When's the last time you saw a running back get hit with a face mask call?
Exactly. His pinky kind of got stuck in there is what it looked like. But on top of that,
you see it happen. You could probably find 3 or 4 runs a game where running back
Derrick Henry
stiff arm and
he can grab a guy's face mask, twist. He could probably rip a guy's helmet off and won't get called for that. I mean,
I've never seen it called before.
The refs cheer them on when they grab face masks and throw guys to the ground. So it's just like, hey, they're like DeAndre Swift. Look, you're not Derrick Henry. You can't do that. It's like, what? You got to be Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry to do that. You can't be DeAndre Swift and do it.
No, really.
He also had Joe Thuney wide open. Joe Thuney was in front of him, and he just looked lost on that. I don't know what he was doing, but he didn't look like he knew what he was doing. He just let the guy go right by him and tackle Swift. That's the guy who got stiff armed and ended up being a face mask. But I love that play call, though. I loved I loved how original it was. I loved how he designed it. And man, it was set up. If Thuney blocks that guy, that was set up to be a 15 to 20 yard explosive run at least. The blocking was there for it.
Well, as the way it turned out before the penalty, they threw the flag, it was still like a 12-yard run.
And if you look at guys like Max Crosby, right? Max Crosby does not take his eyes off Caleb Williams after Swift fakes the pitch back. He thinks Caleb has the ball, and Max is looking at Caleb as Swift is running by him down the field. So if you can fool one of the best defenders in the league that badly, you have some chops as a play caller, and you love to see it, man.
Is that the play too where he stumbled a little bit?
No, that was a different one. And that one, did you hear they talked about that? That was.
Yeah, and he said, no, that wasn't.
No, Caleb said it was. Caleb went out in the media and said it was. It was designed stumble.
Oh, okay.
It's like,
I thought I heard him say that it wasn't.
And it's like, man, I don't know about that, but I like it. I like that he's confident enough this early on to call stuff like that he didn't call with Jared Goff until year 3. And Jared Goff's a veteran. So if you're confident enough to call stuff like that and you're going back to the flea flicker, Ben Johnson's ability as a play caller, that we're still learning. But we know the upside is there, and he can put up some points. And I'm excited for what this offense can do going forward, man. It's really fun.
Well, I guarantee you he's been watching more Washington tape this week than normally he would getting ready for a game.
Yeah. 2 weeks to prepare, man. Man. And another thing with that is Washington's defense has not been that great. They lost Jonathan Allen in the offseason. They're bottom 10 in the NFL against the run, and they're giving up a lot of points here.
Yeah.
So, this is a defense that Ben Johnson should be able to take advantage of. Man, I'm excited for that one. On Monday night, too.
Oh, you ought to go from Cincinnati to D.C. and go watch the game, man.
Go watch that one. A couple good questions here. Someone asked about, what do you think about Dominique Robinson's play recently?
D-Rob he's rushing the passer a little bit better than he has in the past. He's always played the run pretty good.
Yeah, he's always been decent against the run.
And so, but, I think the last group just didn't have confidence in him, and this group does.
Yeah.
And so he gets more reps, gets more snaps. But now when Booker comes back, do those snaps go away?
And that's a big question. I mean, you could always use him inside a little bit more, but yeah, that's definitely one thing to think of there. And
now
then
you could also, when Booker comes back, you could also put Sweat inside sometimes in some pass rush situations.
Yeah, because Booker's not going to be inside. He's the guy you want out at edge, but that's something that's got me really excited to see what Booker can do the second half of this season.
Yep.
Or even the middle of the season. Bear with me asked, now with the Bears setting it 2-2, how do we think they measure up versus the other 3 NFC North teams? And to me, it's
I really think it can change literally on a week-to-week basis because of injuries and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like Green Bay has been very average the last 2 weeks. And where they started off really good.
They look like one of the NFL's best early on. And then
then all of a sudden, they've looked very, very average. Mm-hmm. Detroit started out slow and then has played better. Now they 2 weeks ago, they played the Bears that looked great. Last week, not as good as they looked against the Bears. Mm-hmm. Both those games were at home.
That's another thing. And being able to get a victory on the road is huge. But going against Washington, we have another game coming up on the road. Also going to be on the road against Baltimore. I think we have 4 out of 5 on the road. Our one home.
Yeah, and the Raiders game was the first out of 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm. Our only home game in that stretch is that Saints game, which makes that even more of a must-win game. But if we can really establish some wins on the road here, that's huge, man. This is a team. That's something we haven't been able to do over the entire Matt Eberflus era. He never, a stat that someone on Twitter threw out there, Matt Eberflus never won a road game on a Sunday his entire tenure as the Bears coach. Yeah. I thought he won at least one, but I went back and looked through it. He didn't win one. He won a couple of road games on Monday nights and Thursday nights where he did decent on prime time, but not on Sundays.
Didn't Justin Fields have a real big game on a Monday night in Washington?
Oh, yeah.
He had like his career game.
He had a huge one. I don't know if it was against Washington. That was because I know it was. Well, maybe it was against Washington.
Yeah, I think it was.
He had that huge one where he threw that touchdown before halftime to was it to Mooney or Pettis? The 50-yarder he threw like at halftime going into the half, and he got laid out. That I remember that pass. That was beautiful. And we had the one where Mooney had the ball on the goal line and ended up catching it at the 1-yard line because he bobbled it, and we lost that game half a yard short. But yeah, we had some tough ones up there. For me, the NFC North right now, the Packers are a question mark still. They're really good, but Jordan Love still hasn't taken that next step yet. And
no,
you see how they looked against they couldn't even beat the Cowboys, a team that we demolished. They couldn't even beat them. So it's a team that still has some question marks. The Vikings also still have a lot of question marks to me. They're a good team, but not a great team. To me, the Lions are the class of the division, and they've answered a lot of the questions about how will they respond after losing both their coordinators. Their defensive coordinator, the new one, I forget his name, but he looks awesome so far. And their offensive coordinator, Hank Fraley, he's looked decent too. Their offense.
Well, Fraley's not. He's the assistant coordinator.
Yeah.
A guy named Morton is the coordinator.
Yeah, Morton. Yeah. But they look good. I mean, David Montgomery had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns on 12 carries. That offense is explosive. So right now, I think the Lions are the class of the division. We have to beat the Lions if we want a shot at the NFC North.
Got to beat them here when they play here.
Yep. That's key. When we play them, we'll see how we measure up. And then our 2 games against the Packers, we play the Packers 2 out of 3 weeks. That'll really tell how we measure up in the NFC North, to be honest.
Yeah, and those are at the end of the season too. So they're going to be, or could be, very important games, depending on what the Bears' record is then.
Especially after starting out 0-2 in the division. We have to win those division games to even stand a chance.
Oh, no question about it.
Yep. I know our upcoming schedule, trade deadline. Let me see what our questions we had here. Someone wants, what are your thoughts on, do you think we should move Darnell Wright to the left side and try it for a few weeks to give Ozzie a try on the right side? That's kind of how I feel as well. He's been too good at right tackle. I think he's on track to develop into one of the best in the game.
What people don't understand, the problems that Ozzie was having after 2 years in college at right tackle, then trying to go, and he's played the left.
Mm-hmm.
It's been since 21, since Darnell Wright has played on the left side.
It's been even longer.
They would have thought that he could play on the left side. He would have worked on the left side starting back in April when the offseason program started.
Yeah, you had all that time.
And they're not going to all of a sudden put him over there because everything is the exact opposite of what you're doing on the other side.
Especially when you have Theo Benedict, you have Braxton Jones, and you have Ozzie Trapillo too, who, even though he's not as comfortable on the left side, neither is Darnell Wright. He's a guy who got all the reps on the left side throughout mini camps, throughout OTAs, and into the first half of training camp as well. Ozzie was playing left tackle, and I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
In fact, he got, what I noticed with Ozzie in the fourth quarter and he's pass blocking is that he got a lot more patient. And instead of, sometimes young guys kind of lunge out right away to try to get their hands on a pass rusher, where he was sitting back and waiting. And to me, that's a sign of, it's really a sign of maturity for the player.
He also, at times, he knew where to help. I've seen a lot of Bears tackles struggle with this, where when the guy's not rushing you immediately, you got time to help that the right guard and kind of double team, combo block, hold that guy off, and then you can push him and snap back out and grab your guy if he rushes late. And Ozzie did that on 2 or 3 of his first 10 reps, where they didn't come right at him. Max Crosby was kind of trying to slow play him and maybe even QB spy Caleb Williams, but he would come after him later. And Ozzie had the awareness there to be able to help out and still be able to get his guy. And same, he was able to switch, take on the guy, and let Jonah Jackson know they're doing a stunt. You pick up Max Crosby. And that's something that I've seen a lot of miscommunications with as well on this offensive line.
There was one play that Baldy pointed out. He was doing some stuff on
the Baldy break
on Theo Benedict. And so there's a play where he's doing a combo with Thuney to a guy on the inside of Bennett, the outside of Thuney, and then he stabs with his left hand on the defensive end. And he literally with one hand turned the defensive end. That tells you how strong he is.
He's got grown man strength, and he could be a real find, man. What I saw on the tape from Theo, he looked good. A lot of promise there, especially as an undrafted guy.
Well, he is athletic. He was a guy that ran like a 5 flat, jumped really well. His agilities were really good. The only real negative was the arm length. And sometime now, I don't believe they're just 32. The pro day was up at the University of British Columbia. It's not like they sent a 10-year vet to go up there and do the pro days. They had a rookie scout going up there.
Yep.
And the arm length is the most, what's the word I want to use? Screwed up measurement that anybody does. And
we've seen the variances even from the NFL Combine.
You see it. You'll get pro day, all-star game, and combine, and you'll get 3 different measurements.
Yep.
So, but does he have 33? No. But he might have 32 and a half. And 32 and a half, you can live with. You still want better.
Yep. I think Ozzy's is about the same, but he at least has broad shoulders and a wide base there to work with that might help him out.
Ozzy had 33 at the combine and 33 and a quarter at the pro day. So you got to think that that's what they are.
Yep, exactly. I'll get to final questions in a second. I'm going to do a real quick 40-second ad read, thanking today's sponsor, Profit X. And then I wanted to ask Greg a quick question about a guy. I have a little preview for you guys about Matt Forte. Let me run this real quick. Are you tired of going against the stacked odds of sports books and going against the house? Try out Profit X, America's #1 sports prediction market. It's a peer-to-peer market where users play against each other instead of going against the house. You can even set your own odds on specific plays. Let's say you wanted Caleb Williams over 1.5 TD passes, my pick of the week, but you wanted it better odds than you can find anywhere else. Go ahead and set your odds on Profit X, and as long as someone accepts what you're offering, then boom, you get your own odds. Use promo code SWIFT and claim up to $200 in profit cash. It's good on all your plays for your first 30 days playing. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks to Profit X for sponsoring the video. I did want to mention this is something I'll be running next week because the book is releasing, I believe, on October 7th. And when I'm joined by Gabriel, a guy who had the honor of working in the front office when the Bears drafted Matt Forte, I'll be talking a little bit about it next week, but I do have an advanced copy of Matt Forte's book, Stay in the Game. I've been reading it. I'll be talking about it a little bit next week. But Greg, do you have any insights or any stories about Matt Forte or any reasons you think fans should also be looking out for this?
There was a lot of talk. We were going to take a running back in that draft and probably in the second round. But it was which one. And this is not when we got to draft day. By the time we got to draft day, the decision was made. But it was in the lead up in the meetings and stuff. And the first guy that really got on, and this was during the fall of that year, the first guy who got on Forte was Chris Ballard.
Chris Ballard.
Ballard had that area. Ballard had Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas. And he was real high on him. So then he got me on him. And the other guy in the equation was Rice from Rutgers, who ended up.
Ray Rice. Oh,
yeah.
That was a knockout pick.
Yeah. But anyway, in our lead up discussions, though, we used to watch what we call profile tapes. It would be me, Jerry, the coordinator, Lovey, and the position coach.
Okay.
So in this case, it was Jerry and I, Lovey, Ron Turner, and what the hell? I can't think of the name of the running back coach in the house. Tim Spencer.
Oh, Tim Spencer. Yep.
Was the running back coach, and there was. It was just those two players, but the difference in opinion. Jerry was more of a Rice guy. He wasn't sold on Matt Forte. And then when you got to Spencer was a little bit more of a Rice guy. Lovey was kind of whatever those guys want. They got to coach him.
Hey.
And it was Ron Turner and myself that were big Forte guys.
Oh.
So then we ended up, deciding it was going to be Forte. So now fast forward. And I didn't go to the game. We opened up against the Colts.
Okay.
That year, Sunday Night Football. And on one of his first carries, and I got a picture of that run framed in my other room here.
Oh.
He goes like 50 or 48 or 50 something for a touchdown. like right away. And I mean, within seconds,
That was the Colts game, right? I
Yes.
remember that. Yeah, it was he just broke that run. It was like one cut, and then
Yep.
he was galloping to the end zone. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Well, being the a-hole that I am, I sent off a text to Jerry right away. Told you, big dog.
Now side story, did you text anything to Jerry when the Ray Rice incident went down?
No.
That's
But it was funny because I had Jerry on with on Aldo.
Okay.
Maybe a year ago, a little over a year.
I remember.
Ago. And we brought that up, and he got a little defensive when I brought that.
And that's a great insight, because a lot of fans, even now, they like to blame Ryan Poles for every pick. But like you said, working in the front office, it's not the GM that's 100% the guy that makes every pick. Some picks are for the head coach. Some picks, maybe it's the running back coach who really likes the guy. Sometimes you're really leaning on your scouts or the scouting department. Sometimes
there's got to be a consensus. There's got to be a consensus. And the last thing you can do is you can never take a player that a coach doesn't want.
Yep. Because that's how they don't get played.
It won't work. He will find a way for that not to work.
Mm-hmm. And you don't, and that's one that you got to work with the coach. And that's one thing I like about Ryan Poles. I feel like he worked with Matt Eberflus, and now Eberflus wasn't the guy, but a lot of these guys, Matt Eberflus was handpicking for his defense, and we're hoping we can get more out of him. But now having Ben Johnson handpick guys for his offense, I'm thinking that'll turn out a lot better. And that's why I have high hopes for Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, and even Kyle Monungai. I think is going to be a good player.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a role player. He's never going to be a 20 touches a game guy, but he can be really good in as a role player.
Yeah, 100%. Greg, as always, man, it's an honor having you on here and talking. Did you have any final words or reasons for hope heading into the bye week here?
Well, I'm a lot more confident than I was 2 weeks ago. That's for darn sure.
Hey, yeah, you were even confident then. I remember having you on before the Cowboys game, and you were confident we were going to win that game. I had released a video talking about how we could win 4 straight games, and here we are now 2 weeks later, 2 wins in our back pocket, and it feels a lot better right now.
Well, going back to that game, I was trying to get Courtney Cronin on with my show with Aldo. And originally she was going to come on after the Detroit game, and she had to go to Bristol, Connecticut to do some stuff for ESPN, studio stuff for ESPN. So I said, she said, I can do it, but I don't know what time and blah, blah. And then we would have had to adjust the schedule. I said, that's all right. We'll do it next week. And I said, it's going to work better because I guarantee you win next week.
And so we came out and won. It was
right away, and I still got the text in my phone. So then I sent her a text on, that a couple days before. And I said, now I came through on my guarantee. You got to come through on yours now. And then, but she was a great guest. She was.
I watched that show. It was a good show.
Really good
show for sure. Awesome, man. And guys, we'll be back after the Monday night game. Me and Greg will be back in 2 weeks. That week, hopefully, we can continue with another win. I'm expecting
3 in a row. I got a good feeling about that. I'm going to say this too. Even though they're losing in the fourth quarter, I always felt confident that they were going to pull that game out.
I said it too when we got the ball on that final drive. I was live that day, and I was talking to the fan base because fans were like, here we go again. We're losing again. And I was like, guys, look, this is why we got Ben Johnson. This is why we drafted Caleb Williams. And I'm confident that we're going to go down there and get the touchdown and take control of this game. We did. I thought we left a little bit too much time on the clock, but with where we got that stop and forced them to kick a field goal, even if they make that field goal, we might have had enough time to go down and get a quick 3 points.
Well, you would have had 20-something seconds, but no timeouts.
Yeah, I think.
But the one thing I agree with you totally. Probably gave him a little bit too much time, and the kick coverage on the kickoff wasn't very good.
Yeah,
they gave back a good return. But the thing that I felt was going for the Bears going in was they were way ahead in the time of possession battle at that point when they got the ball at the beginning of that long drive.
Yeah.
And I just felt because of that the Dallas defense the Raiders defense is going to be tired, and they were tired.
So there was 43 seconds on the clock when they kicked the field goal. After the block and it landed, there had been about 38 seconds we would have had. I think 38 seconds might have gave you just enough. Maybe. I had hope.
Depends where you get the ball, because now if they make the field goal, you got to kick
they got to kick off as well.
And then you're gonna, so you're really gonna have 30 seconds, 32 seconds.
But I had faith in that one, man. It was a great one. But
I do think one of those guys is gonna break one for a touchdown on one of these kickoffs.
A kickoff. I'd love to see Luther Burden do it, man. I'd love to see.
I don't know who it's going to be, whether it's going to be DuVernay or Burden, but one of those guys is going to break one.
Man, that's going to be awesome. Greg, as always, man, it's an honor talking to you. I'll see you again in 2 weeks, man. Bear down.
Okay, buddy. See you later.
Chat.